What's up everybody, it's Paul from Boosted Films, and in this video we're going to change the engine air filter and cabin air filter on this 2023 Chevy Equinox. So we're going to start by changing the engine air filter, and to do that, of course, we need to pop our hood. So as we open the driver's side door, down here by the driver's side kick panel here, you just pull that hood latch release and that should pop your hood. Next, we need to release our safety latch here on the hood. So we're going to slide our finger in just above that Chevy bow tie and then go over to the right, and that should release that safety hood latch. Next, there's a hood prop rod here, right towards the front part of the engine. There's a softer foam part. If that rod seems to be hot, that's why the foam is there, in case that rod is actually too hot. But you should be able to grab that, pull it up out of that yellow piece that holds it in place. And then up on your hood, there's a spot where you can set it down that's got an arrow pointing to it. So here is our air box that holds our air filter, that filters the air coming into our turbocharger in this case. And there are 4 screws holding that in place. So we're going to remove these 4 screws to get the top portion of this air box out of the way so we can access our filter. So these are 7mm screws. Otherwise, you could also use a Phillips screwdriver to remove these as well, as I'm doing here. So these screws are pretty much designed to stay in place. You should be able to loosen them up all the way and they'll just kind of stay in the top portion of this airbox. So now that we have those 4 screws loose, you should be able to lift up your airbox carefully. You just need to get it up high enough to kind of sneak out that old engine air filter here. And it's also a little bit of a tight squeeze right in the lower left part of that airbox, if you will, where it kind of goes underneath that fender a little bit. But you should be able to lift that top piece of the airbox up enough to pull out your old engine air filter here. This one still looks pretty good shape, not too dirty, but we're going to swap it out with a new one. I always like to check the bottom of the box. So just want to make sure there's no big debris in there. If there is, you can just take it out of there. And next we are going to compare the new to the old. We just want to make sure the new filter we're putting in is the same as the one we took out. So of course we're going to unwrap that air filter and then just compare the old with the new, make sure they're about the same width, same height, all that stuff. And you can see these have a little protruding tab on them as well to designate where they go in. So we're back up by the car now. You can see again, this is the tab on the filter here that kind of sticks out a little bit. And then I'm going to point to the spot on the airbox here where you can see where that kind of is designated to fit in. So we're going to put that tab towards the back part of the car, lift up the top portion of that airbox. We're going to set that air filter down in place to make sure it's sitting flush all around. And then you should be able to set the top portion of that airbox back in place. I had to make sure I moved it up towards the engine a little bit. I had to slide it a little bit before it would sit down flush. So just make sure you get it flush, and then once it's sat in place, you should be able to get all those bolts started. I recommend you getting them all a little bit started before you start tightening all of them. That way you know everything's lined up like it should be. But once it's all lined up, that's it. You should just be able to tighten up those bolts with your screwdriver or your 7mm ratchet. Should be all set. Now we just gotta make sure there's no tools under the hood, and then we should just be able to close it up. So we're gonna lift up our hood a little bit, and then we're gonna pull out that prop rod and then set it back down in that yellow place that holds it in place. And then we should be able to close our hood all the way, make sure that it fully latched, and we have successfully changed the engine air filter. Now we're going to move on to the cabin air filter, and to do this we're going to start on the passenger side of the vehicle, open up that passenger side front door, and then we're going to slide our seat back a little bit just to give us some extra room. And then we're going to open up our glove box and take out anything that we might have in there, because we're going to be dropping that glove box down. And then we're going to direct our attention to kind of the right side of the glove box here. There is this soft open kind of arm that hangs in place here, and we just need to release that. It takes a little bit of force to release that, so you should be able to pry that over and then pop that off. It should just kind of snap off. And then after that, you should be able to drop down your glove box. So to drop the glove box, I like to lift it up just a little bit, and then you're going to pinch and squeeze the sides here of this plastic, and then you should be able to get drop this down. Once there's those 2 little protruding objects on each side, you're just squeezing it enough to slide that down and out of the way. You can just leave your glove box sitting down, or you could just remove it all the way. It will actually just pull off. It's sitting on some hinges on the bottom that you could just pull it right out of the way if you wanted to. And here you can clearly see it's even labeled our filter access door is here. And there are 2 bolts. In this case, they were 5.5mm bolts that we're going to remove. So to remove these bolts, you will need a socket of some kind to get these free. Unfortunately, they don't have a Phillips or flathead screwdriver option here. But they shouldn't be too hard to remove. Again, 5.5mm. There you can see these screws come out. And then this access door actually just kind of hinges up, but there is kind of a lock-in point on either side. So we're going to squeeze each side of this, and then you should be able to kind of grab the bottom a little bit. You could actually do one side at a time. After I tried doing both sides at once, I kind of realized it was easier just to squeeze one side and then pull up at the bottom part, and then it should kind of hinge up, and then do the same thing on the other side, squeeze it, and then pull towards the bottom, and then this door just hinges up. And once we lift up that door, you can see our cabin air filter is in here with the airflow direction arrows pointing down. So we're just going to grab onto that cabin air filter and pull it out. And just a note, if yours seems really dirty and there's a lot of debris on top of your filter, be careful pulling it out. Try to keep that debris on that filter you're pulling out. You don't want any larger debris dropping into your blower motor. So next, we are going to compare the old with the new, just like we did with the engine air filter. So we're just going to open up our brand new cabin air filter here and just compare it, make sure it looks like it's the right size, and we're also going to note the airflow direction because it is going to say the airflow direction on it. And again, we want that airflow direction arrow pointing down when we reinstall this new one. So we're going to unwrap our new blue cabin air filter here and look for those airflow direction arrows. Go back inside the car. Just going to lift up that cover enough to slide in this new cabin air filter. It shouldn't take much. It should fit pretty easy. So slide that in, and then you should be able to, of course, just push that cover back down. So you should be able to push that down and just hear it snap in place. And now those 2 screws were removed. We're going to reinstall those, I guess, maybe, depending on if someone did this job on your car before. They might not be there anymore and someone didn't put them back in. But we're going to reinstall those screws right away and just tighten those up. And there's just a better shot of that soft open arm on that right side. So you can see we're going to reconnect that. And if your glove box did come off the hinges all the way, I'm just showing you here, there's kind of 4 spots where it reconnects. So you should just be able to set it on those hinges and then lift up your glove box. And of course, we're just going to squeeze a little bit and then bring it up in place so this glove box just holds up. We don't want to close it all the way though yet, of course, because we just got to reconnect this side arm piece. I apologize, it is a bit hard to see, but I lifted up the glove box a little bit, and then I just put that piece over, I lined it up, and then pushed it to pop it on. And that's it. Now we can just close and open our glove box, make sure it works like it should. Then you can put all the stuff back in your glove box that you took out, and close your passenger door, and you should be all set. You've successfully changed both filters on your Equinox. So there you have it, everybody. That's about it for this video. But of course, if I did anything wrong or you know a better way of doing something, please let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Also, if you could help me out, if this same procedure worked for your Chevy Equinox, but yours is a different year or maybe a little different model, comment about that as well. That might help other people out that are watching this video, wondering if this might work for their 2024 model or their different Chevy Equinox. So if you could comment whether or not this worked for you and your specific vehicle and what that vehicle is, that would be greatly appreciated. If you want to buy the filters I specifically used in this video, I'll have a link to those filters in the video description as well. Otherwise, you can buy a filter wherever you like. If you want to buy OEM, you can go to your dealer, buy the OEM parts yourself. And of course, just being a YouTuber, if you found this helpful in any way, I'd appreciate it if you just gave the video a thumbs up, like, comment, all that stuff, because it would help me out a lot if you did that. But otherwise, as always, this is Paul from Boosted Film saying thanks so much for watching.